Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 145 based on novel. Swallowed Star 2 novel continue writing by the author, so video length will be short. So let's start. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing, carrying the spoils from their second hunt, piloted their black flying boat and began their journey back. On the way back, the two of them remained as cautious as ever. A flying boat is approaching. Be careful. An invisible, vast fluctuation enveloped the area. Within this region, 3 hidden figures had already detected the flying boat using an array. Let them continue forward, deeper into the formation, then we'll act. The 3 hidden figures waited patiently. Suddenly, inside the black flying boat, Luo Feng's bionic eye of destruction remained open. Ever since both his paths of life and destruction had reached the early stage God Emperor level, his bionic eye had naturally advanced further, greatly enhancing its observational abilities. Something's off around us, Luo Feng immediately transmitted to Emperor Qing. Retreat at full speed right now. Oh. Emperor Qing hadn't sensed any danger, but he trusted his companion. Luo Feng had only sensed that something was amiss. He hadn't actually detected any enemies, and everything around them appeared to be normal void. However, his bionic eye of destruction noticed an anomaly in the operation of the world's natural laws. A shadowy force was seeping into these laws, growing stronger the deeper they went. Whoosh! The black flying boat suddenly retreated, reversing at maximum speed. We've been exposed. They actually noticed us. Trap them. A dense shadowy force descended, covering an area spanning billions of kilometers, instantly turning everything into a grey haze. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing's flying boat was within this vast shadowy domain. However, they were already close to the boundary. At that moment, the overwhelming shadow energy became thick and binding, fully restricting the flying boat's movement. Heaven and earth become one. Creation of heaven and earth. A towering figure emerged, naturally harnessing the vast power of heaven and earth. His right hand, like a massive axe, swung down fiercely. Where the axe struck, it was as if the entire world was split in two, forcefully carving out a massive rift in space. This was the most suitable forbidden move created by Luo Feng after his path of life and destruction reached the early stage of the God Emperor, based on the characteristics of the heaven and earth clones, to create the world. The moment this enormous rift was cleaved open, even the shadow energy was temporarily split apart. Whoosh! The black flying boat instantly accelerated through the rift and burst out of the shadow domain. The towering figure also followed the rift, escaping in an instant. After escaping the vast shadowy domain, Emperor Qing finally let out a quiet sigh of relief. Brother Luo Feng, they must be experts from 10,000 shadow building, Emperor Qing transmitted. If we had been trapped inside their formation, we'd be in serious trouble. This formation is formidable. Even my heaven and earth clone's forbidden move could only carve out a single gap. Luo Feng also realized how troublesome their opponents were. Ha ha ha. Laughter rang out. 3 distorted shadows appeared around them, coalescing into 3 figures. Each of them wore grey robes and masks, their invisible power spreading outward. It really is 10,000 shadow building. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were now certain. In Ulan city, 3 major forces engaged in theft and plundering, insect nest, 10,000 shadow building, and Guile workshop, all under the command of Palace Master Wei Yang. Wei Yang commanded the largest force in Ulan city. Within 10,000 shadow building, those responsible for theft held relatively low status, while those in charge of plundering were the true middle to high-level members. These plunderers generally concealed their aura and appearance, as plundering too easily invited vengeance. The ones handling plundering in 10,000 shadow building are usually Dao cultivators at the middle stage God Emperor level. The weak ones wouldn't dare to engage in plundering, Emperor Qing transmitted to Luo Feng. From our fight exchange, we can already estimate their strength, Luo Feng was also well aware. Ha ha ha, Emperor Qing and Luo Feng. The 3 grey-robed figures looked at them, and one of them chuckled. No wonder the 2 of you dared to go hunting together, you do have some skill. You should know the rules of plundering, right? Of course, Emperor Qing replied. We're willing to offer a sum of chaotic origin crystals. No need for much. Just leave behind a corpse of a low-level chaotic origin life form, and you can go, the grey-robed figure said. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng exchanged glances. All right, Emperor Qing agreed and immediately waved his hand, releasing the corpse of a low-level chaotic origin life form, the cheapest one among their spoils, worth about 800,000 chaotic origin crystals. Decisive indeed. The leading grey-robed figure accepted the corpse, and in the next instant, the three of them twisted into shadows and disappeared. Let's go. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng piloted their black flying boat, steering clear of the shadow formation as they continued their return journey. Inside the flying boat. When hunting outside, besides low-level chaotic origin life forms, other cultivators are also a threat. Emperor Qing shook his head. We don't worry about weak plunderers, we can even counterkill them. But when facing strong ones, it becomes troublesome. If we can escape, we escape. If we can pay some chaotic origin crystals, we pay them, Emperor Qing continued, shaking his head. But if the plunderers refuse chaotic origin crystals and insist on killing us for treasure, then we have no choice but to fight for our lives. Luo Feng nodded. From their brief encounter, he judged that the three enemies were likely middle-stage God Emperor Dao cultivators who had accumulated strength for a long time and lacked no secret treasures. Even if he and Emperor Qing joined forces, they had no confidence in defeating them. Whoosh! After a brief flight, the black flying boat finally arrived at Ulan City. Emperor Qing grinned. Our luck is really not bad. On our first hunt, we encountered a low-level chaotic origin life form at the late-stage God Emperor but still managed to escape. On our second hunt, we were intercepted on the way back, but we avoided disaster by handing over a low-level chaotic origin life form corpse. You call that not bad luck? Luo Feng asked. It's actually really good luck, Emperor Qing said. The more you go hunting, the more you'll understand. Sometimes, a hunt can suddenly lead to encountering an extremely powerful low-level chaotic origin life form, wiping out half the team. Or on the way back, running into plunderers who break the rules and slaughter everyone for treasure. Luo Feng listened and nodded. Our early days as God Emperors in Ulan City were just like this, fighting with our lives on the line, and sometimes even getting robbed, Emperor Qing sighed. Fortunately, I come from the source world and have the ability to create clones. Otherwise, life would be much harder. In Ulan City, cultivation is not easy, Emperor Qing continued, glancing at Luo Feng. Of course, you're different, brother Luo Feng. You already have the strength of a middle-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator. If you purchase a few more secret treasures that suit you and enrich your techniques, you'll be strong enough to join any major force in Ulan City. There are many forces in Ulan City, but a middle-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator is strong enough to serve as a core member, Emperor Qing said. After all, those at a higher level are the elders, and their numbers are quite limited. Luo Feng smiled. In Ulan City, there were a total of 723 late-stage God Emperor Dao cultivators. Among them, 327 served as elders. Many of these elders had clones exploring the darkness sacred world, so their clones in Ulan City rarely took action. When an elder-level figure made a move, it usually became major news that attracted attention across the entire city. The middle-stage God Emperor Dao cultivators, on the other hand, were the backbone of many forces in Ulan City. Have you thought about joining any forces? Emperor Qing asked. No need, Luo Feng gently shook his head. Right now, what mattered most to him was advancing his great Tao of life and death to the God Emperor stage as soon as possible. That's true. You haven't been in Ulan City for long, so it's better to focus on your cultivation first, Emperor Qing said. But if you get the chance, becoming a high-ranking member of a major force does come with many benefits. Luo Feng just smiled without saying much. As they talked, their black flying boat arrived at the towering chaotic origin palace. Let's sell the spoils first, Emperor Qing said, and he and Luo Feng flew toward chaotic origin palace together. This time, they sold 8 low-level chaotic origin life-form corpses along with their battle merits, earning a total of 8.6 million chaotic origin crystals, which they split equally. After dividing the chaotic origin crystals, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing went their separate ways for shopping. This time, my main focus is on purchasing materials from low-level chaotic origin life forms at the middle stage God Emperor level, Luo Feng thought as he carefully browsed various shops in Ulan City. He inquired about the prices of all materials related to life and destruction, carefully comparing and bargaining for an entire day. In the end, he purchased around 1,000 portions of low-level chaotic origin life form materials at the middle stage God Emperor level, with each portion costing about 3,300 chaotic origin crystals. Across the entire Nine Rivers sacred world, he had likely gathered at least 90% of the suitable materials for his needs. The remaining materials were extremely rare and hard to find. Afterward, Luo Feng also spent 900,000 chaotic origin crystals on auxiliary cultivation pills and other items. What a coincidence! The official flying boat is arriving soon. Luo Feng was pleasantly surprised. On the third day after finishing his purchases, one of his clones carried a storage treasure, the illusory realm maze, to transport all these newly acquired treasures to Origin Continent. The illusory realm maze was something he always carried with him since he was wary of theft. Different cultivation systems sometimes had unexpected methods that were difficult to guard against. In Origin Continent, with the Eye of Life and Death, my cultivation efficiency is at least 10 times higher than in Ulan City. Luo Feng had long decided that after each of his early hunts, he would make a trip to Origin Continent. In the future, once he was wealthy enough, he might only visit after several hunts. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng have returned from their second hunt, said a voice. Since they lived in the same cave residence, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing did not hide their movements, so Emperor Ming and Emperor Fu naturally found out. They seem to have done quite well, someone remarked. Emperor Ming sat cross-legged in his cave, his expression complex. I've been in Ulan City for a while now and have also gone on a hunt once, but the results were a complete disaster. Ulan City's regular hunting teams typically did not accept early-stage God Emperor bloodline cultivators like him, and there was a good reason for that. In hunts, their direct combat effectiveness was minimal, and they often became a burden instead. This time, we had a full team of 32 members, all early-stage God Emperor bloodline cultivators. We spent a long time strategizing and discussing cooperative tactics. But what happened in the end? Emperor Ming was frustrated. Their team, if faced with a stronger enemy, could have been completely wiped out. Even when facing the weakest low-level chaotic origin life form, all 32 of them used the planned cooperation tactics and executed 7 consecutive coordinated attack formations flawlessly. The continuous strikes left the low-level chaotic origin life form no time to counterattack. However, the low-level chaotic origin life form's body was too tough, and its vitality was terrifyingly strong. Despite their well-coordinated attacks, after enduring all 7 waves of attacks, it was heavily injured but still alive. Then, in a desperate counterattack near death, the low-level chaotic origin life form managed to kill 17 members and severely injure more than 10 others, forcing the rest to flee in panic. 32 of us couldn't even kill a single low-level chaotic origin life form. No wonder the established hunting teams don't want us. Emperor Ming shook his head. I'll just use Ulan City's resources to cultivate properly and work on improving my strength. Outwardly, he seemed poor. But as someone who possessed an unlimited space reward, Emperor Ming was actually quite wealthy. However, he had to be extremely cautious with how he used his wealth. After all, he was still too weak and had not even cultivated a clone technique yet. The true witch lineage of the Nine-Ring World Tower is indeed extraordinary. The insights on the Void lineage have benefited me greatly. I feel like I'm getting closer to fully comprehending the great Tao of space. Emperor Fu was very satisfied with his time in the Nine-Ring World Tower. Even though he was mostly running errands and doing basic tasks, the gains were significant. After all, they are different cultivation systems, but the essence is the Tao. If I can fully comprehend the great Tao of space, I will have the qualification to survive into the next era on Origin Continent. Emperor Fu grinned, full of confidence in the future. If he stayed on Origin Continent and got stuck at a bottleneck, he might not break through even by the time of the Great Extinction. But in Ulan City, with access to so many different cultivation systems and vast resources, the difficulty of breaking through was much lower. I made the right choice coming here, Emperor Fu thought. With Luo Feng and Emperor Qing looking after him, he didn't have to worry about accommodation in the city, making things much easier. Luo Feng is already at the strength level of a middle-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator. He's surpassed me. Emperor Qing sat cross-legged in his meditation chamber, staring at a jade bowl in front of him. The bowl contained an amber-like liquid. I've been stuck at this final bottleneck for too long. 80 million chaotic origin crystals. I sold many of my treasures to exchange for this single portion of void heart marrow fluid, all for this one chance. Emperor Qing hadn't planned to rush, but the imbalance in their team's strength made him decide to take this leap now. He had spent countless years accumulating wealth, and now, he had exchanged it all for this one treasure. Let's do this. Emperor Qing opened his mouth, and the amber liquid from the jade bowl floated up and entered his body. This video will end here.